As far as road tests go, this is one of the most important in recent times because this is of a brand new car from a brand new manufacturer. This is the MG Hector. It announces the arrival of Morris garages to India. It has a ton of connectivity. You could not have missed all the hype around this car. But the main thing is the styling. Make up your own mind on the styling, but one thing is undeniable. It definitely looks distinctive. It cannot be mistaken for anything else, and it cuts a striking figure on the road. The Hector that we are testing is the 1.5 turbo petrol, and it gets genuine hybrid technology. The MG Hector is bold and distinctive, that's for sure. On the road, it turns heads, and even though the Tata Harrier and the Hyundai Venue both have the headlamps in the bumpers topped up by those slim eyebrows, there is still a novelty factor to this layout that makes the Hector unmistakable. The MG Hector doesn't lack for chrome. This is an SUV that majors on bling and the shiny stuff. Even the wheels are glitzy, and adding to the razzmatazz is the all-LED lighting and Audi-style floating turn indicators. Styling is a very personal thing, and you're free to draw your own conclusions. What is clear though is that this is a love it or hate it design. This is a big SUV, measuring 4655 mm in length, much longer than any of its rivals with a longer wheelbase. It runs on 17-inch wheels, which are way too small for the Jeep-like squared-off wheel arches. The 10.4-inch high-definition vertically oriented screen dominates the cabin of the MG Hector. It is massive. And unlike the exterior that polarizes, the touchscreen makes for a very nice interior. The iSmart app allows you to unlock the Hector, open the sunroof to let out hot air. On the automatic, you can start the car and cool it down. You can locate it, you can turn on the horn and the flashers to find it if you forgot the pillar number in the mall. You can geofence it and check the health of the car, the fuel level, the tire pressure and the last trip log. The system is also 5G ready and capable of over-the-air updates. On the quality front, the cabin feels very well put together. The steering wheel is a meaty leather-clad item with a slightly flat bottom. You also get a very good music system, the Infinity system, which has got good bass, good depth, good punch. And if I had to criticize, one thing that freaks out the OCD in me is the dials. So the speedo swings clockwise, whereas the tacho swings anti-clockwise. So that really takes some time getting used to. Also the volume is on the right side, not on the left where you would normally find it. Small little things, you can live with it. First impressions on the Hector, the petrol engine is very refined, very smooth, a little audible when you rev it above 3000 RPM. But in terms of turbo lag, there's almost nothing. There is a step up at around 3000 RPM where you get an additional kick of power. Maybe that's the mild hybrid system at work or the turbo coming on song. But it's got a very linear spread of power. It's smooth, and I think for a petrol SUV in this category, it's quite adequate in terms of the power. The Hector is a softly set up SUV, and that means on poor roads, the Hector rides really well. Of course, you should take it at a little slower speed because as you build up speed, that softness in the suspension, it manifests itself in terms of pitch and wallow, and the body starts to lose its control. But at slower speeds on poor roads, it is really good. Adding to the Hector's comforts are these soft seats. So if you want to be chauffeur driven, if you want to just do your commute in comfort, the Hector actually does it very well. Plus there's acres of room at the back, plus a huge boot. This is built for being a 7-seater, and it will be a genuine 7-seater. The Hector, it does have ESP, but if you want to attack a few dirt roads, you can switch off ESP and have a bit of fun. But you got to remember that this is a long SUV, so when the tail comes around, the tail is quite a way behind you.
So that's the petrol, but in the Indian context, the diesel is obviously very important. This is the diesel Hector. The diesel engine is made by FCA, and it's the same engine that goes into the Compass, into the Harrier, and now into the Hector. And the only way to differentiate the diesel Hector from the petrol is obviously the noise of the diesel engine, which is not too much, but you have the noise and the badging. The Internet Inside badging is on the boot of the Hector, of the diesel Hector, whereas for the petrol, it's on the flanks. Otherwise, there's no other diesel badging on the car. So the diesel Hector, and one thing you've got to be aware of is the clutch. It's a very sharp clutch. It's almost like a race car. The bite is so narrow. So you got to be careful of not stalling it. Once you get used to it, well, this is the same FCA diesel engine that we've come to know in the Compass as well as in the Harrier. Of course, this makes more power than the Harrier. It makes 168 bhp of power, 350 newton meters of torque. So when you compare that with the turbo hybrid of the Hector, it makes 23 more horsepower and 100 more newton meters. And it is instantly evident, both the torque as well as the power. The diesel Hector moves with far greater urgency than the petrol. In fact, it feels more sporty than the petrol. You do get a bit of that diesel grumble, and the gearbox is again like the turbo petrol, not as smooth, not as slick, but it moves pretty well. It's got this long-legged feel. You can cruise easily at 120 clicks. Stick it into 6th gear, you can barely hear the engine tick over. This is an engine that really suits the SUV-ish character of this class. So 1500 RPM, you're doing 85-90 kilometers per hour, and it's chugging along nicely. This is a really good engine. The Hector actually has a very good focus, and that is on low speed ride. But once you start to build up speed, and if the roads are a little poor, then it starts to float, and plus the handling isn't all that great. The body control isn't very tight, it's soft, so it rolls appreciably and quite noticeably. The front end, the understeer is pretty prominent. There is no feel of feedback through the steering. The corners aren't the Hector's best friend. A lot of body roll, steering, not much feel, not much feedback. It's not an SUV that likes being thrown around. In terms of the driving dynamics aren't too different from the petrol. This is a soft car, and this really isn't the ideal environment to test out the Hector because it throws up the inadequacies of the dynamic nature of the car. This is a soft car, so it pitches, the nose pitches, it's got more weight on the nose compared to the petrol, and that is also evident. And there is significant amount of body roll, noticeable body roll. It's hard to deliver a verdict on the Hector unless we know the pricing, and as of doing this test, we don't know the pricing. What I do estimate it to be around 17-18 lakh rupees, so slightly more than the Harrier and slightly less than the Compass. That is a sensible band to price the Hector in, and at that band it will find buyers, especially because it is so spacious, it is so comfortable, and it is loaded with features. The cabin with this huge screen, it really feels very high quality and very premium. If you're looking for a spacious, comfortable alternative to the Harrier, Compass, even the Creta, the Hector makes a lot of sense.